At this time, I'd like to ask the good Reverend Cherry Wheeler to come forward with an invocation. Reverend Wheeler, thank you as always for being here.
Allowing us to continue to offer God's blessings on these meetings. Let us pray together. Gracious God, as we endure the yellow cloud of pollen, realizing spring has arrived in our community, we ask you to give relief to those who suffer from allergies. The yellow cloud not only represents warmer weather, but the soon arrival of tens of thousands of visitors to the area. We ask that you guide the leadership as they continue to meet the challenges of the destination, of this being the destination for so many. We pray that the roadblocks and challenges to the North Currituck Bridge will be resolved this year so residents of Dare County may gain hope to the end of the cut-through traffic in our neighborhoods. We are thankful for the men and women who serve Dare County residents. Give them insight and wisdom as they make Dare County not only a destination for visitors, but a great place to call home for the full-time residents. We're thankful for both the longevity of so many staff members, as well as the quality of work they provide our citizens. Now guide and lead the commissioners as they conduct the business of the county. May they have the wisdom of Solomon as they make decisions that impact all our citizens. And we pray together. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Wheeler. May we stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Folks, we don't have Commissioner Bateman with us this morning. He's out of town. And I'd also like to recognize former Vice Chair Wally Overman's with us this morning. Thank you for being here, Commissioner. With that said, I will turn it over to the county manager.
Good morning, everyone. Item 1 on the agenda is the chairman's opening remarks.
Thank you, County Manager. Most of you are all aware the last 4 or 5 months, I think laughter is the best medicine, so here we go. This one's for you, Mr. Alton, this morning. There was this couple that just got married, young Catholic couple, and they were involved in a fatal car crash. The couple found themselves sitting outside the pearly gates waiting for St. Peter to process them into heaven. Well, while waiting, they began to wonder, could they possibly get married in heaven? When St. Peter showed up, they asked him. St. Peter said, well, you know what? I don't know. This is the first time anyone's ever asked me this, so let me find out. He left, and the couple sat, and they waited, and they waited. 2 months passed, and the couple were still waiting. While waiting, they began to wonder, well, what would happen if it didn't work out? Could you get a divorce in heaven? After another month, St. Peter finally returned, looking somewhat bedraggled, said, yes, he informed the couple, you can get married in heaven. Couple said, great. But we just were wondering, what if things don't work out? Could we also get a divorce in heaven? Well, St. Peter, he got red-faced, he got angered, he slammed his clipboard on the ground, and they said, well, what's wrong? They asked St. Peter. He said, man, come on. He said, it took me 3 months to find a priest up here. Do you have any idea how long it would take me to find a lawyer?
That's a good one.
All for you, County Manager. Love it. Love it. Love it. As most of you are aware, we continue to, county task force continues to work on housing. And we just found out something recent from Secretary Turner and Bergen that they announced a joint task force to use federal lands for affordable housing. So I sent a letter on behalf of the board to both secretaries, and they were talking about, and just like we have, is all over the country, the lack of housing and issues. Here in Dare County, we have the same thing. And the North Carolina Budget Office talked about 52% of Dare County residents are spending more than the 30% of their household income on housing. This potential transfer of federal lands to local governments is an idea that has often been discussed here in Dare County, but was not certainly viewed as a likely option. But this is good to hear that DOI and HUD have formed a joint task force to look at this. I will not read the entire letter, but it's about a 2-page letter to them, and basically we're asking to meet with them. Several of us will be heading to DC in the coming weeks, and we've asked to reach out to them. We're going to reach out to our federal legislators, but also these two secretaries to see if we can meet with them. I'm sure all of you are aware we have considerable amounts of federal land, so taking just portions of that would certainly, I don't think, impact anything that we have here in Dare County to any drastic measures. The North Carolina Association of County Commissioners puts out a county map every year and some demographics. And they recently put something out, a demographic that in 2024, our population was 37,786. That's about an 8.1% change since 2014. In 10 years, we've had about an 8.1%. Medium age, 40%, 47% of the counties in the medium age. Population under 18, 17% of the county. Population 65 and older is 25%. And then our veteran population is 8.5%. The average weekly wage was $862. Per capita income was $76,100. And our current property tax rate, and I'm going to talk about our current tax rate moving forward in our reval, but we're currently at 40.05 cents per hundred, which ranks us as number 10 lowest in the state. 56% of our adults aged 25 to 44 hold a secondary degree of higher education. 6% of adults aged 25 to 44 have less than a high school diploma. Here's some interesting statistics. 90% of our households have at least one device to access the internet, and 93% of the households have a broadband internet subscription. 12% of our residents experience food insecurity. 12% of our residents under age 65 are uninsured. And we had 17 emergency department visits for drugs overdose, and we had 20 deaths in overdose. Now, here's a really interesting statistic. There are 18 farms in the county. 18 farms. How about that? The U.S. Department of Agriculture defines a farm as any plot of land that produces and sells at least $1,000 of agriculture products during the 2022 year. So I thought that was pretty interesting statistic. I have a community care clinic flyer that I just received. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary, and they'll have an open house on May the 1st, which is Thursday, from 4 to 7:30 p.m. at their Health Center Drive in Nags Head. So please reach out to the Community Care Clinic, and if you have time, go to that open house. Like I said, it's their 20th anniversary. And last but not least, we had a budget workshop this past Friday to look at our upcoming budget. I'm pleased to announce that the board is committed to a revenue neutral rate. And we're very, very pleased to be able to do that. And we're not cutting any county services whatsoever. So it was a lengthy workshop, very, very detailed. I want to thank our department heads for understanding, because we had some $9 million in additional requests that we're unfortunate that we couldn't provide it. But we're keeping the tax revenue neutral. Now, let me just say this for those that are watching and will be watching. I'm always amazed that folks don't understand the taxes throughout the municipalities in the county. I am speaking specifically of the county tax rate, county of Dare County, revenue neutral. If you live in a municipality, there are 6 municipalities. You live in a municipality, you pay a municipality tax. Don't get it confused with the Dare County tax. If you got issues, I'm telling you, you need to go to your municipality and voice your opinion about your local tax. I'm not sure what the 6 municipalities are going to do. I'm not sure if they'll do revenue neutral or not. But if you have concerns and you live in one of those municipalities, Duck, Southern Shores, Kitty Hawk, Kill Devil Hills, Nags Head, and Manio, if you have concerns, go to their board meetings. I understand that in this next month or two, they'll all be talking about their budgets. So share with them your concerns about their local tax in their town. If you want revenue neutral and you don't want your taxes to go up, you need to share your concerns with them. So gosh, I hope you folks that are watching today and listening to this meeting, knowing I'm at the YMCA the other day, I'm walking out after a workout, and I get confronted about the tax. The individual's not even aware. I don't know how they're not. They think the tax is the county tax, and they live in a municipality, and they pay a municipality tax and a county tax. And I'm harping on this, but folks, you got to understand what you're paying for tax-wise. So with that being said, County Manager, that completes my chairman's comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That brings us to item 2 on the agenda, which are the service pins this month. This month we have 2. First, we have Ethan Bryant. If Ethan Bryant would come forward, receive a 10-year pin from Jenny Collins.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Ethan Bryant for you. Ethan started his healthcare journey really from a child. He was a caregiver of his father who battled cancer for a while. Both him and his sister were caregivers, which led him into the healthcare field. His first job was at Roanoke Chowan Hospital, where he was in the radiology department, and he would transport patients to radiology for their procedures. And in that position, he got to see EMS in the emergency room when he was there, and that piqued his interest. So he took an EMT class at Roanoke Chowan Community College. And after graduating as a certified EMT, he got hired on with Hertford County EMS and a Conway Severn Rescue Squad. And not being satisfied with just being an EMT, he decided to go back to school a year later and became an EMT intermediate. And that moved him on to working with Bertie Ambulance Service in Northampton County, both part-time so that he could provide those intermediate skills. And then he found himself going back to school to get his paramedic certification. And both at that time, some of the agencies, and you got to figure this is probably about 12 years ago, weren't into doing paramedic level. And so, but Dare County offered him his first full-time job as a paramedic, and he has been excited to be here ever since. He has a deep drive to make sure that he is helping others, and he likes to care for the community that he's in. And that has been represented throughout his career. When he came with Dare County, he has represented us several years ago at the statewide paramedic competition. In 2017, he was promoted to lieutenant. He staffs a quick response vehicle now and is a frontline supervisor for the crews. And in that role, he's been able to not only help the community, but also help newer employees and newer certified people as they come in and join the department. He is a advanced cardiac life support and a pediatric advanced life support instructor, and we utilize them in our classes that we do. He also assists with logistics in the department with our medication inventorying, and has started with in our fleet management activities too. So Ethan, thank you for 10 years of service, and we look for at least 20 more, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Nancy Nedley receiving her 15-year pin. Nancy, if you'd come forward with Debbie Dutton, please.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Commissioners. I want to thank you for this opportunity to recognize our employees for their tremendous years of service. And I am honored today to be able to present this 15-year pin to Nancy Nedley. So Nancy started her career with 5 years of med-surg hospital experience. That was followed by 18 years working for the American Red Cross, both in California and then in Virginia, where she collected blood, platelets, and stem cell donations. When Nancy moved to the Outer Banks, we quickly snatched her up and was hired as a public health nurse 1 in the clinic. After realizing her potential, she was promoted to a public health nurse 2. Nancy is one of our public health nurses for the Department of Health. She provides care to our patients with compassion, kindness, and expertise for the promotion and maintenance of their health needs and prevention of illness. Nancy is the heart and soul of the clinic. She keeps everything together from sterilizing equipment, inventorying supplies, detailing policies and standing orders, assisting with the lab, but most important, providing the best care to our patients. Nancy does not miss a beat. If you think you have everything covered, Nancy will find that missing link. She is our QI queen. Nancy provides support, training, and leadership to the staff and is recognized as a mentor. Some words to describe Nancy by her patients and staff are generous, gracious, compassionate, professional, and dedicated. Nancy is the most thoughtful team member, always remembering birthdays and other celebrations. When not at work, Nancy loves spending time with her family. She is traveling across the U.S. between the East and the West coasts with family both in California and Maryland. She has many opportunities to host her family here on the beautiful Outer Banks as well. Travel is her passion, with trips to Italy and Paris being among her favorites, and Australia and New Zealand as her furthest destinations. I want to thank Nancy for her 15 years of service. I have heard rumors of retirement, which in my mind are just that. They are only rumors. I have the utmost respect for Nancy and the work that she does, and I hope that we have many more years.
That leads us to item 3 on the agenda, our Employee of the Month. And if Chuck Lysette would come forward for that presentation, please.
Good morning, Chairman Woodard, Commissioners. I have the pleasure today to recognize Melissa Turnage as the April Dare County Employee of the Month, or as her unit calls her, Attorney Turnage, MD. It's an honor to present this to her today because I've worked with Melissa for a number of years, first as a foster care social worker and now as an adult protective services social worker. When we were on call together, it was inevitable that on our last day of our rotation, which was a week long, Melissa would call me. I was the supervisor. She would call me on the way home from work usually that she had a child protective services report that she needed to respond to. Her kids would stay at home. They were high school age. They would stay at home. She would put in the long hours that evening, going out to make sure that family had developed a safe plan for their children. Melissa is an advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves. For the last 11 years, she has served as an adult protective services social worker, investigating reports of abuse, neglect, and exploitation of adults. The situations she encounters can be frustrating, upsetting, and sometimes involving assessing life and death situations. She sees people on their worst days, adults living in dirty, cluttered homes, adults with bed sores lying in their soiled bed, adults who are confused and unable to take their 10 to 15 prescription medications, and disabled young adults who are homeless and cannot care for themselves. Her fellow staff members shared with me that Melissa was in a home and was startled by rats. She frequently deals with difficult situations, but she is resourceful, works diligently to ensure that she leaves vulnerable adults in a safer, more protective place. Melissa has many admirable qualities. She is compassionate, kind, and tough when she needs to be. She makes situations she is involved with better. She is an asset to her unit, sharing her knowledge of medical and mental health diagnoses and their respective treatments, and her knowledge of the legal process for emergency protection and guardianship orders. Melissa, it is a pleasure to work with you, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. Thank you for everything you've done for our agency and the residents of Dare County, who are better and safer because of you. Thank you. Congratulations. And that's for your desk.
Before we go to public comment, any of you that received an award this morning, if you'll go right out through this door so that we can have a picture made, please. Ladies and gentlemen, now's the time that's been set aside for public comment. If you have public comment this morning and you've not signed up, raise your hand. I'll recognize you. When I do, please come to the podium. State your name and where you're from. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. There's a green light on the podium that will come on when your comments begin. There's a yellow light that will come on when you have about a minute left. And there's a red light that will come on when your time is up. If you're here to speak with regard to the Buxton zoning map amendment, there'll be a separate public hearing for that. Don't comment now, wait until that and make your comment then if you're here for that purpose. With that said, on my list, the first person is Craig Honeycutt.
All right.
Welcome, Mr. Honeycutt.
Thank you. Oh, there we go. Good morning, everybody. My name is Craig Honeycutt, and currently I am the chairman of the Friends of Jockeys Ridge group. I got to say, this is my first commissioners meeting I've attended, and it has started with prayer and laughter and giving of awards, which I think is a great way to start a meeting. So I want to continue that. I came here just with a message of thanks. I wanted to thank the board for their support for Jockeys Ridge State Park and their support of the Friends group of Jockeys Ridge State Park. Senator, I almost called you Senator, excuse me. Commissioner Woodard and Commissioner Ross, I wanted to thank you both for showing up publicly when we made comments about the AEC and the stuff that's going on with the regulatory battle. And also a huge thanks for the support you have given us for the upcoming 50th anniversary of Jockey's Ridge State Park, which will be June 5, 6, 7, and 8. Your financial support has been huge in allowing us to plan 4 days of amazing events that will include a homecoming dinner, first ever drone show on the Outer Banks, a free show by the Connells, Frisbee golf, a horseshoe tournament, and some kayaking. So that support is amazing. So thank you very much. We'd like to invite you all to attend the event as our VIPs. I know that Ann Cabell-Baum has been in touch with you all, so there's a way to set that up. So we're here for that. Personally, Commissioner Ross, I wanted to thank you for showing up a year ago on short notice on a Sunday at Front Porch Coffee to talk to us about what was going on with the area of environmental concern, and lent an open heart and an open ear to me and Ann Cabell-Baum as we were trying to figure out what was going on. You said that you would help us and give us some information, which you did, and you said that you would look into helping us for the 50th anniversary, which you have done. You were my first touch on the commissioners, and I want to say that you showed great leadership, and you did everything that you said you would do, and you showed up to our event. So personally, I wanted to say thank you for being a great leader and for supporting us for the last year.
Thank you.
That's pretty much all I have. So have a beautiful day, y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next is Nancy Ballantyne. No? Okay. That's all I have on my list. Other public comment this morning? Yes, sir. State your name and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Barry Sims. I live in Collingwood, which is on Collington Island, part of the county, not part of the township. So I guess my remarks are supposed to be here for the recent reevaluation of my home. I believe that at this present time, real estate values are at a pinnacle and are not going to last. I've been through a number of corrections in the real estate market and paid excess tax due to those changes. I received my new bill or reevaluation and did some quick math. And it turns out that the reevaluation is going to cost me just under what my original tax bill was when I moved here. And I think that's ridiculous. I think it's too much. We talk about affordable housing, and this kind of tax makes housing unaffordable for most. I have a whole list of things that I really wanted to say, but I think the point is that I think we went a little too far with these reevaluations, and a lot of people are not going to be able to afford them. Fortunately for me, I can, but that doesn't mean I want to pay the money. What I'll end up probably doing is not going out to dinner a few extra times and not buying things that I would want to buy, like a new car or just some fun things around the house. I think what has happened here should be reevaluated. I think it's just too much, too fast, and I'm sure something can be done. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, but you did, and I think it should be reevaluated. That's all I really have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll have the county manager respond.
You respond now?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Mr. Sims, just so you understand,
Yes,
tax value went up,
yes,
and it probably went up a lot.
yes, it did.
If you listen to the chairman at the beginning of the meeting, the rate that you apply to that tax value is going down, and it's going down to a revenue neutral rate, which means that if it's 40 cents now, it'll go down to 26.
26.32.
So the rate will go down
Okay.
to 26, which means from the county perspective, we get the same amount of money from the taxpayers this year as we got last year at the lower tax value. And
Okay.
So
So
the mere fact that your value went up doesn't mean we're taxing you more. It just means your house is worth more money. We lowered the rate so that we're not taxing you more.
Okay, that's fair. I understand.
All right?
Because I remember that a few years ago, the tax rate actually did go up. And my current rate is $6.25 per thousand of value. That's what I paid last year.
Hey, how much?
$6.25 per thousand.
What?
You're paying, last year you paid 40 cents on the
On
100
the 100.
is what the rate was. Now, I don't know, if you live in town, I don't know what the town rates are, but the county.
I'm in the
tax-
county.
Well, the county tax rate last year was 40 cents on the 100.
To be exact, it was 40.05 per $100 of value. Then you have a fire, right. Then you have a
Then you
fire.
have the Collington fire tax. which
Okay.
is- And just so you know, the fire taxes will go to revenue neutral as well. They won't stay at the same
Right.
rate.
Okay.
And the sanitation taxes will go to whatever the sanitation rate is. So everything is supposed to be roughly level. Now, it's going to fluctuate because if your house value went up by 100% and we reduced it to what we do, it won't take your particular house to revenue neutral. But if your house went up by 50%, you'll get a tax reduction. So depending on where you fall in the scale will determine what you pay. But what the county gets from the taxpayers won't change.
Great. Makes me feel a whole lot better.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Mr.
Thank you very
Sims.
much. Yes.
Take your last property value.
Yeah.
Divide it by 100. Multiply it times 40.05 cents, and that'll tell you what you've paid. We have not approved it yet, but we have made it in the budget to revenue neutral. Take your current value of your home, divide by the 100, and multiply it times 26.32 cents. And you will find that that rate is extremely compatible, neutral to your prior rate.
It's going to be one of the lowest rates in the state of North
That's right.
Carolina.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
That makes me feel a whole lot better,
You being
gentlemen.
So in other
that
words,
area.
we're not
Thank
such
you very
bad
much.
guys up here, are
Yeah,
we?
so we're not such bad guys. And now you can go buy that car you were talking
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you made out good, man.
about.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Is there any more public comment this morning? Anybody else want to speak in public comment? Yes, sir. You please state your name and where you're from.
I'm Mike Walton. I live in Southern Shores, and I do want to speak real quickly on revaluation. I had to do a real fast calculation based upon the information that he just provided, so that's great. That helps me out. In Southern Shores and Kitty Hawk, I understand the average increase is 74%. Okay. And I know all this, I assume, is computerized, so there's got to be some way, I would think, that numbers that are a little bit out of whack have to be adjusted for, I would assume. For example, my sister-in-law has an oceanfront home in Southern Shores. Her valuation went up 71.5%. Okay, that's within the range of your 74%. My house went up 85.2%. And that quick calculation shows me that just for the county, I'm going to pay about $1,100 more per year. All right, I have one other property. It went up 97.5%. That's a huge change. So I would just think somewhere in there, you know, if the county number is 0.2632, well, a 97% one versus a 74% increase, there's got to be some difference in there that I don't know how you're going to calculate that. I'm assuming everybody's going to get hit the same number, and my numbers are going to be significantly higher in a couple of cases. But I want to point out one absurd valuation I saw. 2.5 years ago, my neighbor purchased a lot, 9/10 of an acre on the creek between Southern Shores and Martins Point. So he's on the water. 9/10 of an acre, he paid $400,000 for that lot. Right beside him is a 4/10 of an acre property. At the last valuation, that 4/10 of an acre was valued at $403,000. Now it's valued at $793,000. Now, I don't think there's a single person here who wants to pay $793,000 for 4/10 of an acre sitting on a creek. So to me, I mean, that's a 96.6% increase, and there's just something very wrong with that number. And unfortunately, this is a very elderly lady who lives in Maryland. I've never met her. I know who she is. She's going to die when she sees that property tax increase, possibly. At that, because you pretty much doubled her rate. So anyway, so I'm concerned about the percentage differences. That's my concern, like 74% in Southern Shores and Kitty Hawk, but a 97% and a 96%. Well, that's an extra 20% higher that I'm going to be paying. So just wanted to point that out. So perhaps there could be a further discussion or an explanation at some point from the board.
How about an explanation right now?
Okay, great.
Great. Couple of things. Tax values. The tax value, every real estate transaction that's done in Dare County, the contract gets put through, there's a land transfer tax that's paid, the tax assessor's department gets a record of that, and they have a data bank that has that. They use all of those transactions as comps to do their appraisals. So there's a comp that says, whatever the value of your thing is, there's a comp that says that. And they've taken those comps and they've applied, there's a statutory formula they have to apply, they use to come up with the assessed value. And they have done that. So they've got the history of all the transactions that have occurred in Dare County to see what property is selling for. So if property in Southern Shores went up 74%, then property in Southern Shores is selling at 74% higher than it was selling 5 years ago when we did the last valuation. And so that's how it's worked throughout the county. You know, if your particular property went up by 91% or whatever you said it was, when they take those appraisals, they have a comp. And if your house has a pool and the comp didn't, then there's a factor for that. And on and on and on. If you have an outbuilding with a mother-in-law suite and the comp did not, then there's a factor for that. And so those factors are then added to that and they create an appraised value of that property. Now, is every appraised value exactly right? No, I would be foolish to stand up here and say that's true. There's an appeal process for that. If your property you believe is outrageous and isn't right, then there's an appeal process you can go in. And if you could substantiate that your value isn't the value that they used, then the Board of Equalization will review that. And if they agree with you, they'll change that value. So there's an opportunity for anybody that thinks that they've been misvalued, the little old lady that you talked about, you, whoever else, to go in and appeal that. But there is a methodical approach. There's a scientific approach. It's math and it's comps. It isn't some arbitrary number that someone pulled out of the sky to say, hey, I think today your property is worth this. So that's the process. There is a process for you to appeal that if you think it's not right. And then if you are correct, then your value will be changed.
And I do understand that, though. My revaluation, I looked at it, I saw the comps that were used. 2 out of 3 were in Martins Point, which I consider a higher end valued property. And
there's a factor for that. So if the only comps are higher end, then they have a pool and they have an outbuilding that you didn't have. There's a similar deduction for that reduces the value of your property. So again, there's a process to take all that into account. If you don't agree with that, that's fair. Go file your appeal. And then if you can substantiate the value is different, then you'll win your appeal and your value will be reduced. And again, the whole idea is to everybody pay the equitable right based on the value of their properties.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Walton.
Any other public comment this morning? Is there any public comment from Buxton?
We have one comment from Buxton.
Please come forward and state your name, please.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alan Dufala. I live in Buxton. I don't know if you need my address.
Do not.
Okay, all right. I have a question for you. Actually, I'm looking for some information and hopefully you folks can direct me in the right. The transfer station we use down here. What happens to all the materials that we collect here? And I'm not expecting this group to give me an answer, but I'd like you to give me the number or a name of someone I could contact just to research this whole thing. This is just a personal issue of myself because I'm adamant about recycling.
If you'll leave your number with the staff person there, we'll have someone give you a call.
Okay. And that was one question. May I ask the second one? And I just wanted to hear this from the horse's mouth. Do we know anything about, I know there's been discussions down here about beach replenishment and about jetties and whatnot. Do we have any status on that from the county commissioners? in terms of where we are or what's going to
Go
happen?
ahead and address it now. Are you referring to Buxton and Avon?
At Buxton in particular, I live in Buxton, so
Yes,
that's,
sir.
you know,
We'll
stay in
have-
your own village.
We have an answer for you on that right now. County manager will let you know what we're getting ready to do.
So our consultants are working hard right now to get the permitting in place to do a project in the spring in Buxton. Included in that process is hopefully to get a repair to the jetty to hold those sands in place longer. Those are working on simultaneous tracks. They're not mutually exclusive, so we could get the permits for the nourishment and not have the permits necessarily for the growing. And if that's true, we would move forward with the nourishment project there, and hopefully that will happen this spring.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment from Buxton?
No other comment from Buxton.
That, Mr. Chairman, we would close the public comment and we would move on to item 5 and 6 on the agenda. We got Sarah Sampson and others here that they're going to present the Child Abuse Prevention Month proclamation and then the Week of the Young Child proclamation. Sarah?
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Kaylee Askew.
I'm Latia Banks.
And I am the parent educator for the Children Youth Partnership, CYP. And I'm here with Latia Banks, a social worker from the Dare County Department of Health and Human Services, to discuss the crucial topic of child abuse prevention. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and the Dare County Health and Human Services, alongside the Children and Youth Partnership for Dare County, is working diligently to raise awareness and empower every community member to play a role in prevention. This year's theme across North Carolina is Powered by Hope, Strengthened by Prevention. This theme reminds us that stronger families create healthier communities. The support and empowerment we offer today are the driving forces behind a better tomorrow for all children. We kicked off the month by inviting our community to participate in Wear Blue Day on Friday, April 4th. We encouraged everyone to wear blue and share photos on social media to show our collective commitment to the cause. Throughout April, we have set up 3 child abuse prevention displays across Dare County, one at the Killable Hills Fire Department, one at the new Dare County Youth Center in Manio, and one at the Fessenden Center in Buxton. These displays serve as a visual reminder of the critical need for awareness and action. In addition, local businesses and community members can take part in Pinwheels for Prevention campaign by planning a pinwheel garden or displaying a Pinwheels for Prevention yard sign. The yard signs are available at our Children and Youth Partnership office while supplies last. Each pinwheel represents the bright future we are all working together to create for our children. Research from Prevent Child Abuse North Carolina shows that several protective factors can prevent child abuse and neglect, including parental resilience, children's social and emotional competence, parents' knowledge of child development, concrete support for parents, and strong social connections. These factors can build the foundation for safer, healthier families and communities. I strongly encourage parents to explore the resources available through Children and Youth Partnership for Dare County and to sign up for one of the free parenting programs we offer. These programs are designed to support families and strengthen parenting skills.
Another valuable resource is the Family Services Unit at Dare County Department of Social Services. This program provides support to families with at least one child under the age of 18 and focuses on enhancing family stability, improving relationships, and also building strong support systems. It's important to remember if anyone suspects child abuse, neglect, or dependency, they should contact social services and request to speak with a Child Protective Services social worker. For more information about Child Abuse Prevention Month and how you can get involved in prevention efforts, please visit preventchildabusenc.org.
Finally, we ask the commissioners to proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. The children of Dare County are our future, and their safety is the foundation of that future. Protecting them today is key to creating a world filled with compassion, respect, and hope for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. I believe we have a proclamation that I'll
Yes.
ask the county manager to read so that we can approve.
Sure. This is a Child Abuse Prevention Month, April 2025 proclamation. Whereas children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most vulnerable assets. Whereas children deserve to have safe, stable, nurturing, and communities, they need to foster their healthy growth and development. Whereas child abuse and neglect are a community responsibility affecting both the current and future quality of life of a community. And whereas communities that provide parents with the social support, knowledge of parenting and child development and resources they need to cope with the stress and nurture their children, ensure all children grow to their full potential. Whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships created among citizens, human services agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Therefore, we, the Dare County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Dare County and call upon all citizens to increase their participation in our efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the communities in which we live. This is the 7th day of April 2025.
Do I have a motion? There's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chairman House to adopt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous, ladies.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Item 6 on the agenda is a proclamation from the Children and Youth Partnership for the Week of the Young Child. Now Sarah's up.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Sampson, the Executive Director of Children and Youth Partnership, and I'm here with Jennifer Bradshaw Garrett, our Early Childhood Specialist. We're here today to ask you for your support in proclaiming the week of April 5th through 11th as the Week of a Young Child in Dare County. This week is an annual celebration of early learning, young children, their teachers, families, and the communities that support them.
The Week of the Young Child is a time for us to come together to recognize the critical importance of early childhood education. It's a fun-filled week full of activities that highlight the role of young learners and the impact of caregivers and educators have on their growth and development. By proclaiming this week, we can raise awareness and show our commitment to ensuring that every child has a strong foundation for success. Today, we're kicking off with Monday, Music Monday, a theme that highlights the joy and benefits of music and early learning. Stay tuned to our social media page for updates on all exciting activities happening throughout the Week of the Young Child in our community.
We would also like to invite you to Kids Fest. This is our annual celebration of young children. It is going to be on Friday, May 9th at Roanoke Island Festival Park between 9:30 and 12:30. We have lots of fun activities planned. There'll be entertainment. We have performers from Ghana, Africa joining us on the stage. There'll be lots of hands-on activities, crafts, and fire trucks and other big vehicles. We'd be thrilled to have you come out and join us for that day. It is our annual celebration of young children in our community. And again, it's Friday, May 9th. And we have our invitations for you. I'll make sure to pass that around before we leave. We want to thank you for your time and cooperation or consideration. And we ask you to kindly proclaim the week of April 5th through 11th as the Week of Young Child in Dare County.
Absolutely. County Manager.
Yes, sir. This is a Week of the Young Child proclamation, and it's subtitled Celebrating Our Youngest Learners. Whereas Children and Youth Partnership for Dare County, in conjunction with the National Association of the Education of Young Children and the North Carolina Association for the Education of Young Children, is celebrating the Week of Young Child, April 5th through 11th, 2025. And whereas working to promote and ensure high-quality early learning opportunities for all children during the first years of life when the most rapid brain development occurs that lays the foundation for all future learning. And whereas recognizing, appreciating, and supporting early childhood educators who make a difference in the lives of young children lead to high-quality early childhood experiences for Dare County's youngest citizens. And whereas connecting parents and families with resources and information enhances the healthy development of Dare County's young children. And whereas public policies and partnerships that support early learning for all young children are crucial to young children's futures and to the prosperity of our local community and larger society. We, the Dare County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 5th through 11th, 2025 as Week of the Young Child in Dare County, encourage all of our citizens to recognize the needs and support the healthy development of every young child in Dare County.
A motion to approve. There's a motion to adopt by the Vice Chairman. It's been seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous, ladies. Thank y'all.
Thank you. And thanks for your ongoing support and the impact that it's having on the well-being of our children and families in our community. And again, we hope to see you at Kids Fest. It is one of our favorite days of the year. For those of you who've been there, I know you would agree with that. So please, please come out and join us just for part of that day. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
Department's gonna have their Dunkin' booth, so maybe some of y'all can.
Throw the ball. Some of us can throw the ball. We'd be happy to do that. Yeah.
Guaranteed to have a good time, right? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Hi, Sarah, thank you.
Thank you again, ladies. County Manager.
So that brings us to item 7 on the agenda. This is a presentation by Pastor Scott Hobbs on the new Family Life Center at Camp Emmanuel.
Welcome this morning.
Thank you for having us. I brought a much more capable and handsome man than Dave Stormont with me today. I just actually wanted to just express my continued thanks and support from the county and Dave, as well as I think we have a video presentation, just to give you guys an update on the ongoing project.
Thank you, Pastor. Dave, good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I enjoy being here. Scott and I bring good news, so that's always a good thing. Bobby, are we going to look at the video first, or you want comments?
It's your presentation. Which way would you like to do it?
Let's look at the video first. Would that be all right?
Sure.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Give you guys an oversight.
Okay.
We are born to be noisemakers.
Let's try another video.
Yeah, we done. It's impossible. Yeah.
Our pet of the week this week is Ivory.
Second what?
We are born to be noisemakers. But the Bible says, be still and know that I am God.
I think there's a great need these days with all the things that are going on in society and how busy things are for people to be able to come away, to quiet their hearts, to hear God, to hear Him whisper to them. And I feel like the Camp Emmanuel is a place where they can come and do that.
Camp is a place where you can have an encounter with the Lord. I was in 8th grade. I was going into my freshman year of high school, and I was really struggling with a hole in my heart, with a void that needed to be filled of a father figure. And I came to camp that summer, and I was kind of hard-hearted, and the Lord just touched me here, and I really just had an encounter with Jesus that changed everything.
Everything that we've been told in this world that these kids were coming from, all the lies, all the fakeness that you have, it's gone. And in your face, just who Jesus is. Reading those words from that book, the words hit harder. They stay with you. It speaks to your spirit. It's life-changing.
The first time I went to Camp Emmanuel, seeing how loving and a family that we became there was a big factor. Everyone was like family to each other. Like I saw brothers and sisters, not friends and peers.
For the first time, I was able to create real, authentic relationships with people who loved me, like my counselors and the girls in my cabin. And we did a lot of worship, and they taught us how to read the word and encouraged me to be the woman he was calling me to be. I am one of so many who have come through camp, who are just like me, who have that same story. And there are going to be hundreds more who need to have the encounter with God like I did.
We have seen lives transformed. We've seen relationships restored. We've seen kids discover what they want to do with their lives. We've seen staffs from churches come and get a vision for their next year. We've just seen incredible impact out of the camp.
We're all standing on somebody's shoulders. Somebody came before us. Whatever your job may be, whatever the calling of God might be on your life, somebody has been there before you. And this camp over here is really an incredible example of how people can get a vision and hold that vision, and then that vision makes a way for other people to come and for those people to be utilized in a way that glorifies the Lord. But there are all kinds of people who've invested in terms of the vision that God is unfolding over here in this place. And that sons and daughters would prophesy, servants would prophesy, that old men would dream dreams, and that young men and women would have visions. That we're in that day, you and I, where the Spirit of God has been poured out. And every one of us is challenged to be a person of great dreams and great visions. We have that kind of Father who's invested in us like this. Then our response has just simply got to be, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. And when we say yes in obedience, then this vision begins to unfold. When those guys first went across the street over there and had to cut a road into what was basically swamp and Mexican land, they had no idea really what this was going to look like. They just knew that God had given them a vision for children running on that property and being transformed. But as this thing has unfolded, He sent different people who have a different perspective, or a fresh perspective, or a broader perspective of what this whole vision is all about. I know that there is much greater stuff that's to be unfolded over here that gets beyond what I have seen.
The Bible says this so plain: call upon me and I will answer you, and I will show you the great and the mighty things that you do not know.
Dave, I remember a year or more ago, you came before us and you talked to us about the Family Life Center, and it's just incredible and awesome to see this come to fruition.
It's been a heck of a journey. It's been just a really blessing to a lot of folks. But some history quickly for the rest of the commissioners who may not have been here 15 years ago, when we applied for a permit to build some cabins so that we could have camp retreats for kids and young adults and those kinds of programs. You saw in the video pictures of those cabins. It took us 10 years to build all 11 of them, but they're all built now, and they basically have a capacity of close to 100 people can be housed in those cabins for different retreat programs and Christian outreach. When we applied for the permit, this commissioner board basically suggested that we come up with some form of commercial kitchen, food service, that kind of thing for the number of people that would eventually be back there. It wasn't a requirement, it was a suggestion. And so as we finished the cabins, we began to plan to do exactly that. Provide some structure that would take the pressure off of Liberty Church structure, because when the camps are in session, it pretty much takes Liberty Christian Church out of commission because their service in the camp. We started with a dining hall and a couple of meeting rooms and a commercial kitchen. The leadership of Liberty sat back and said, hold on a minute, after we had some studies drawn up and ready to go. Realizing where Liberty's located in Collington, we knew that it had the potential of being a community outreach place, not only for Collington, but in also Dare County. And it has proven so far to also be an outreach to communities outside of Dare County, outside the state of North Carolina. We've had folks come from lots of distant places. The leadership sat back and said, hold on a second. We don't need to look small. We need to go big here because the call is great. And you just saw the building. That video was taken just a few months ago when we had snow, as you can tell. The scriptures that you see are on the inside studs. And those scriptures were placed on there by, first of all, the youth, the Rise Youth Group of Liberty, but also many other young high school students and middle school students that have come through the camp. They've also written scriptures. The Congregation of Liberty has written scripture. Visitors have written scriptures. If you all want to come by and write your own scriptures on some wood studs, we would appreciate that. We would welcome that. Where that building is right now, we are finishing our rough ends with electrical, HVAC, and plumbing. That's where the project stands right now. We have funding to finish that stage and go through insulation and sheetrock. After that, as the Lord provides, we will come in with the equipment, the kitchen equipment, the furniture, the chairs, and all the interior appointments. Completion date, I wish I could tell you, Mr. Chairman, of a firm completion date, but I really can't because I don't know exactly when the funding is coming in. It took us 10 years to build 11 cabins. It's taken us less than 2 years to get to where you see now. So the provision is coming more frequently now, and we're very grateful. So this county has been, and I want to congratulate and thank this county. When we started, the Dare County Planning and Zoning, Building Inspections, Donna Creef, Buddy Shelton, and the Dare County Health Department went out of their way to help us and worked with us as we went through the 11 cabins. And Buddy Shelton has retired, Donna Creef has retired, but the Health Department, the Building Inspections Department, Corey Tate specifically is my building inspector there, have been absolutely phenomenal to work with. Absolutely. Cannot say enough nice things about it. Anyway, thank you for your support. Thank you for listening to our presentation. Thank you for at least accepting our vision, and we love you.
Absolutely, Doug. Absolutely. Dave. Thank you all so much. Dave, do we need to make an appointment to come out there and take a look at it?
Yeah, call.
Okay.
I'd love to give you a personal tour.
Yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that. I'll give you a holler. Thank y'all. Thank you, Pastor.
Chairman, that brings us to item 8. This is a presentation from the Hatteras Island Meals and the Cape Hatteras Food Pantry. and it's entitled Providing Hope and Fighting Food Security on Hatteras Island. Ada?
Ada, welcome this morning.
Chairman Woodard and County Commissioners, I am so pleased to be in front of you today on what I believe to be a non-political, non-controversial issue, and it is just a delight to be able to present today on behalf of Hatteras Island Meals. To my left is Maria Gould, the president of Hatteras Island Meals. To my right is Kathy Deemer, who is the director of the Cape Hatteras Food Pantry, which we have taken on. And to my other left over here is Sarah Barley, one of our many extraordinary volunteers. Did I say something wrong already?
No,
Okay.
I'm encouraging you.
All right. So if you will just follow along with us, Hatteras Island Meals is a 501c3 corporation and a nonprofit. It was founded in 2006 to meet the food needs of people on Hatteras Island who could not prepare food and meals for themselves. We are the only organization that meets that need, and there is still that need on the island. We deliver meals to people who are shut in, and we pay for every single meal that we deliver. The funds that we receive come from grants, donations, and our raffle, and we currently feed between 50 and 60 people a hot meal at lunch 5 days a week. Our mission statement has 6 parts to it. It was recently amended, and I'll explain that in a minute. But the first 4 parts have to do with Hatteras Island Meals itself, the meal delivery, and the last 2 have to do with the food pantry. Our mission is to provide meals to anyone who is unable to prepare nutritious meals, anyone who needs short-term assistance if they've been in the hospital and can't get around, anyone who needs access to nutritional foods, and anyone who has no assistance with meal preparation. Recently, we did take on the running of the Cape Hatteras Food Pantry, and so we have expanded our mission statement to include anyone who has long-term meal needs and anyone who is food insecure as defined by federal standards. I will move forward if I can.
We actually have a PowerPoint.
Yes, sorry about that.
There
Okay,
you go.
that's
There
our
you
mission
go.
statement that I just went over. And there is a picture of the Cape Hatteras Food Pantry. You may or may not be familiar with it. It is on the grounds of the Buxton United Methodist Church, and it faces Highway 12. It's directly across the street from the Cape Hatteras Secondary School. And that is the outside of it. People are welcome to drop off food in the little bin to the left, and there's a walkway up to the pantry. The Cape Hatteras Food Pantry was run for many, many years by the Cape Hatteras United Methodist Men, which is another 501c3 on Hatteras Island. It was built in 1994 with a grant from the Duke Endowment, and its operations were overseen by Chum for many, many, many years. Last fall, very unexpectedly, Chum approached Hatteras Island Meals and said, "Will you take this over?" It did not take long at all for us to make the decision. I think our board met twice, had a lot of questions, got the questions answered, and we took a deep breath and we said, yes, we will take on the running of this Cape Hatteras Food Pantry because we knew there was a need and we knew there was no one else to meet it. The response has been overwhelming. It does serve a very different population. These are people who can get out. They are not shut-ins, so we don't deliver meals to them. They're food insecure. They cannot shop for food, so we provide a pantry where they can make appointments and come in and shop. Here are some pictures of our volunteers at the food pantry at work. They pick up 150 pounds of food every day from the Food Lion in Avon. They pick them up from Avon, they bring it to the food pantry, they weigh it, they log it in, and they stock the shelves. Then People in need who have been vetted by Dare County Social Services make appointments to shop privately. And they come in and they shop for the variety of food that you can see on the shelves there. Those are shelf-stable foods, canned goods, pasta, rice, things that do not need refrigeration. You will see later we also have refrigerators for meats and fresh produce, which is also donated by Food Lion. There are similarities and differences between Hatteras Island Meals and the food pantry. Both of them meet the needs of people who are unable to nutritionally feed themselves, either due to infirmity or financial insecurity. Both are 100% supported by donations or grants. All of our work is done by volunteers. We have no paid employees and we have no office. And both Hatteras Island Meals and the Cape Hatteras Food Pantry are known and supported by people on the island. The differences are, as should be obvious by now, Hatteras Island Meals purchases hot meals prepared by local restaurants and delivers them with volunteer help to people in their homes. The food pantry allows people who cannot afford to buy food to shop in the pantry for what they need. The food pantry, as I said, is supported by Food Lion in Avon, supplemented by Connors in Buxton. Again, we pay for everything that we purchase at Connors. And theoretically, we are supposed to be getting some food from the Food Bank of the Albemarle, and I'll touch on that in a minute. Some specific numbers. Last year, 2023, Hatteras Island Meals delivered 8,762 meals. 2024, we delivered 11,602 meals. So you can see there's been a substantial increase from 2023 to 2024. We expect that number to go up in 2025. Last year's cost for those meals that we delivered was $76,167. We have just raised the rate that we pay the restaurants for the meals. It was $6.50 for years and years and years. Now it is $7. To the right there in the blue, you can see a note from one of our recipients of these meals. It says, HIM, how do I say thanks for your generosity and kindness? You picked up a burden for me that I could not carry. You offered the basic human need, food. Each meal was appreciated. I'm truly grateful for your service and appreciate all the kind volunteers who gave of their personal time to serve me. You are a blessing to this island, our village, and our family. Deepest thanks. Again, here are some pictures of the food pantry. And by the numbers, I've already told you about the food that Food Line provides, 150 pounds of food a day. The numbers of the people we serve, and then remember, this is just since January. We are still getting our feet on the ground with the Cape Hatteras Food Pantry. But we have served approximately 500 people per month with the food pantry and 220 households.
37 of those people, by the way, are under the age of 5.
Wow.
We have a breakdown by age. And it's, when you see it like that, it's staggering. So thanks for listening.
Can I also add that the food that we get from the Food Lion is fresh product and frozen meats. All of that canned product is stuff that we have to buy.
From Connors at
Because
cost.
we're not getting it from the food bank in Elizabeth City.
We also get it from a county, island-wide food drive once a year, but it goes really fast. So let's talk about the money a little bit. For years and years and years, Hatteras Island Meals has had a raffle on the island, and our local businesses have been extremely generous. They donate Yeti coolers, they donate gift certificates for restaurants, shopping trips, fishing trips, you name it. And we put together raffle prizes worth about $1,000 each. Last year, we had 14 packages worth about $1,000 each. We sat out, we sold raffle tickets, and we raised $40,000 in each of the last 2 years. You could see by the numbers, it costs about $75,000 to feed people, so there's still a shortfall, but that raffle makes up a tremendous amount. And you can see by the numbers, our volunteers spend a lot of time raising, selling raffle tickets. We sell at outdoor festivals. We sell in Ace Hardware. We sell in community buildings. But we spend a lot of time, and people are very generous with buying tickets and that. We also have community organizations. Did I skip one?
No.
Oh, okay. There we go. We also have community organizations that are willing to donate their proceeds to us. The Cape Hatteras Anglers Club donated all their proceeds one bingo night to us. We had a band come in, and Tavern on 12 provided all the food and donated all the tickets for the band and all the food to Hatteras Island Meals. Theater of Dare this year has a box at every performance where they're asking people to donate the canned goods. The Rodanthe Wave Salvo Civic Association has given us money. Many of the rental companies down on Hatteras Island have donated money. So we are well known and well loved, and we are very grateful for that. We do have many community partnerships on the island. The restaurants that deliver Hatteras Island meals are Island Convenience in Rodanthe, Waves Market and Deli in Waves, Diamond Shoals in Buxton, and Sonny's in Hatteras. And Diamond Shoals, I believe, stayed open just to cook meals for us in the winter when they were closed, but somebody went in every day to cook meals so that our people could still deliver to the recipients who needed it. We received grants from Cape Hatteras Electric Co-op. We received grants from the Outer Banks Community Foundation. And of course, we received money from Dare County, for which we are extremely grateful. I think you all are the largest donors that we receive money from. Here's some information about our volunteers. We have 75 volunteers between the drivers and the people who stock the pantry. Every single board member of Hatteras Island Meals is involved in some way. And we are passionate about this because we are committed to providing for this basic need. Everybody needs food, and we are here to help with that. Need to tell you a little bit about our current situation. When we took on Cape Hatteras Food Pantry last fall, we did it with the understanding that it was under the umbrella of the Food Bank of the Albemarle, which allowed us to get the food from the Food Lion in Avon. And they provide the umbrella structure that allows us to do that. They also said that we would be able to shop for some of the shelf-stable items that we need from the Food Bank of the Albemarle. As you all know, I'm sure from news reports, funding for food banks has been cut, and we have not been able to get the food that we thought we were going to get from Food Bank of the Albemarle. There is a quote here, I'm not going to read it, but the director of the Food Bank of the Albemarle her hands are tied. There isn't much she can do. There are a lot of food pantries and food organizations all across the area that are in similar situations. But it's a problem. We're not sure how we're going to address it, but we will. I don't want to leave on a negative note, and so I will say that the other thing about our current situation, having trouble getting to the next slide. There we go. Our current situation is also positive in many ways. You see there a brand new refrigerator that was donated to us by a very generous person in our community. It is a see-through refrigerator, so you don't have to open the doors to see what's in it, which makes a huge amount of difference. We still have the other 3 refrigerators there that have little pictures of either chicken or pork or something on them, creatures on them, to show what's in them. But again, we've had tremendous support from the community, to include donations of major looking refrigerators. And in conclusion, finally.
Sorry.
Hatteras Island Meals has been in existence for 19 years and the need continues to grow. We are not going anywhere. We were proud to take on the management of the Cape Hatteras Food Pantry because we knew the need was there. We currently do not know if the Food Bank of the Albemarle will continue to be in existence to support us. We have always used the money that we receive prudently and carefully. 100% of the donations and grants that we receive go to providing meals or purchasing food for the pantry. When we buy other things, spend money on operating costs like our lovely t-shirts or our raffle tickets, we use only the interest on the donated money so that we can honestly say to every single person that donates $1, that $1 is going to feed somebody. We're not spending that money on t-shirts. It's only interest that we are spending on a few things to get the word out. We are extremely grateful for Dare County's support. Right now you are giving us, or you have given us $6,000 per quarter, $24,000 per year. We are extremely grateful for that. We thank you for that. We would ask you to up that a little bit if you can possibly find it in your budget, because as you can see the numbers, we believe the need is there. We believe we are serving a need that nobody else is stepping in to serve. And we appreciate your time very much this morning, and we're available for any questions.
Well, thank you, Heidi. And first, let me just foremost say, awesome what you folks do. It's incredible. It's making sure that our folks out there in need get fed on a daily basis. And it's remarkable. And thank y'all for what you do. It's appreciate all the volunteer work. I'll ask the board if they have any comments that they'd like to make or any questions of you guys.
I would say that it's not just the meal, it's the fellowship, and someone coming to see them every day sometimes is more important to them than the meal. And that's what I get a lot of feedback on. So
We just had a recipient pass away, and a lot of the drivers go because we become so connected with the people and their families. And it's like losing a
family.
loved one.
It's
It's more than just dropping off a meal, I'll tell you.
Right.
We've called 911 several occasions for what we walk into. So it's thank you for all your support. We really appreciate it.
And we also take a lot of pressure off people in the family who need to work.
Yeah.
They can go out to work and not worry that
Right.
their parent is going to be at home with no one looking at them for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And we've reached out to those family members at times. She's not coming to the door.
Yep.
And we track her down and we make sure everything was okay. So we make a difference on different levels.
We do.
Really.
Well, we hear you. We hear you loud and clear, and
Right, yeah.
we're gracious to give you what we give you. We're under, as you very well know, under budget talks now, and we'll be presenting that in the next several months. But if there's some way, somehow that we could increase that quarterly, we'll certainly give it some full consideration.
I just want to know how y'all get 150 pounds of free food, because I help out with Roanoke Island.
Well, I'll tell you, here's the
Food
one.
pantry. I wonder how you got that deal.
Quickly, well, first of all, the contract with the food line comes through the Food Bank of Albemarle.
Mm-hmm.
We pay the food bank annually for that contract. Now that the food line has tweaked their inventory system, who wouldn't? The waste has gone down significantly, meaning we're getting less. Now, when we say 150 pounds of food, that could be 15 birthday cakes. Okay, that doesn't help me. So we're praying that the food line contract continues, but we train 32 people within 30 days. I have 14 people, 7 days a week, picking up, dropping off, weighing, putting in inventory, rotating stock. So it's like a well-oiled machine at this point, but it took a lot. We have pickup trucks
Yeah.
And lots of people.
So does Roanoke Island Food
Yeah.
Pantry. They got my
it's,
pickup
I
truck.
tell you what, finding the pickup truck wasn't hard. It was finding the person with the time that was the most difficult. So.
Let me ask you a question. Is there
Sir.
significance in the 150 pounds? What's the significance?
Well, back
Help
in
me
the
understand.
day, their
Help me understand.
model, a food bank of Albemarle used to charge food pantries 7 cents a pound for what they were picking up from the food line. They stopped doing that, but we have to keep weighing and we have to turn those numbers in every month to the food bank of Albemarle. We have to turn in how many clients we serve to Feeding America, or vice versa. Feeding America is part of this machine going on here. If they decide to start bringing that back, charging per pound for us to pick up, not only will we have to go through every box and get rid of 15 birthday cakes, but we'll have to check every piece of meat, every strawberry, because I'm not going to pay for rotten food.
Right.
I hope they don't bring that back, but we'll have to work with it if they do. And then the budget will be blown up if we have to pay 7 cents a pound.
And that leads us to item 12 on the agenda. This is a zoning map amendment. It's a request to zone parcels from R3 high density residential to C3 commercial. Noah, would you come up and give a little background before we go into the public hearing?
No, I'm sorry.
Morning.
Morning.
Before you is a zoning map amendment request submitted by Mr. William S. Quidley and John Canning for 3 parcels located along NC 12 in Buxton. As the county manager stated, they're requesting to go from R3 to C3 commercial. Several years back, Mr. Canning submitted a similar request for an adjoining piece or 2 pieces of property that he owns that adjoined this request, and that request was approved. The request would afford Mr. Canning the opportunity to expand his current mini storage and commercial storage facility onto the adjacent parcel. And in conversations with Mr. Quidley, the zoning change would allow him to explore the possibility of opening an automotive garage, which is a service that's in dire need on Hatteras Island. And he has property that has a current building on it that could hopefully facilitate such use if the amendment was approved. So.
All right, any questions of Noah?
Yeah, real quick, so the people asking for the change, they own the adjacent properties anyway?
Well, one of them does.
Yeah.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, now's the time that's been set aside for a public hearing. This public hearing is with regard to a zoning map amendment. If you're here and like to speak to that, the rules for the public comment that we applied earlier apply. Limit your comments to 5 minutes. Is there anyone here that would like to speak this morning? Seeing no one here, is anyone in Buxton would like to speak to this issue? Well, no public comment. So there's no public comment, so we would close the public hearing and I would leave it in the discretion of the board.
Okay, I'll ask the pleasure of the board.
I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve.
Go ahead.
Can we do that?
Yes,
So I know, I'm familiar with both the people involved as well as the property, and it really makes a lot of sense. There is a shortage of automotive, and my father-in-law being one of them. I think the only one now. Maybe there's one more. And so it would be a huge benefit to all the citizens of Hatteras, Buxton South, even Avon, to go ahead and approve this. So I'll make that motion.
He wants to make an auto shop down there,
The
automotive repair
The
shop.
zoning request would allow for his property to be used as such. Right now, the C3 zoning doesn't allow for automotive repair facilities, but the change to C3 automobile service is a permitted use in the C3.
What he done? He done quit hassle or something?
No, not me.
I know, Willie.
No, that's Mr. Quidley here.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
2 Willie Quidleys then.
All right. All right, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance. It's been seconded by Vice Chair House. Any further comments? Hearing none, then those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Noah.
Included with that, you need to have a statement of
Yes.
consistency with the land use plan. And that's provided in your packet as well.
I'll ask the maker of the motion to go back to that statement.
Do you want me to go repeat this to include it all in one?
Yes.
Well, you can just make a motion
You just-
to that effect right
Yeah.
now and just do it.
So moved.
Okay. Is the second of the make, does the second agree? All right. All right. Once again, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Noah.
Chairman, that brings us to item 13 on the agenda. This is a proclamation declaring April 6th through 12th as National Library Week in Dare County. And with your pleasure, I'll read that proclamation.
Yes, sir. Please do.
Whereas libraries are vital community hubs fostering literacy, lifelong learning, and intellectual freedom for all residents. Whereas libraries provide access to information, resources, and services that enrich lives, promote civic engagement, and strengthen our community. Whereas librarians and library workers are dedicated professionals who serve as guides, educators, and advocates for knowledge and access. Whereas National Library Week, held annually, is a time to celebrate the importance of libraries and librarians and to encourage community engagement with these invaluable institutions. Whereas the American Library Association has designated the week of April 6th through 12th, 2025 as National Library Week with the theme Drawn to the Library. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dare County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the week of April 6th through 12th, 2025 as National Library Week in Dare County, and encourage all residents to visit their local libraries, explore their resources, and celebrate the invaluable role they play in our community. This is the 7th day of April 2025.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion to approve by Commissioner Balance. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Chairman, item 14 is a Fair Housing Month proclamation, and with your permission, I'll read that proclamation.
Yes, sir.
Whereas the Fair Housing Act, enacted on April 11th, 1968, enshrined into federal law with the goal of eliminating racial segregation and ending housing discrimination in the United States. And whereas the Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, familial status, national origin, disability, and commits recipients of federal funding to affirmatively further fair housing in their communities. And whereas Dare County is committed to the mission and intent of Congress to provide fair and equal housing opportunities for all. And whereas our social fabric, the economy, health, and environment are strengthened in diverse, inclusive communities. And whereas more than 50 years after the passage of the Fair Housing Act, discrimination persists and many communities remain segregated. And whereas acts of housing discrimination and barriers to equal housing opportunities are repugnant to a common sense of decency and fairness, now therefore be it resolved that the Dare County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim the month of April 25th as Fair Housing Month in Dare County, recognizing it as an inclusive community committed to fair housing and to promoting appropriate activities by private and public entities to provide and advocate for equal housing opportunities for all residents and prospective residents of Dare County.
Motion to adopt.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Vice Chair House to adopt. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Creef. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Chairman, next you have a resolution. This is a resolution encouraging the North Carolina Legislature to expand authority to construct housing for local government entities. This came from a meeting that we had with our housing task force. And one of the ways that we can start working towards providing housing that doesn't have all the hurdles and obstacles and things that are in the way of direct funding is we can ask for legislation that would allow us to provide housing for local government employees. And we could do that if it was passed for us. We could, the school systems could do that. The towns could do that for their fire and police and their other employees. And so there's one step to making some housing The theory being that every housing opportunity that we make for one of our people opens up an opportunity for somebody who may not be one of our people that wouldn't benefit from this. And so it can help on both fronts. Malcolm's here. I don't know if he has anything to add to that, but that's what this is. Okay. This is long. Do you want me to read the whole thing, or?
What's the pleasure of the board? Has the board read it? Yes. Okay, then I'll ask the pleasure of the board.
I would make motion to approve.
All right. Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance to approve. It's been seconded by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion?
I would say one thing, just that if the legislation that went through back in the 2000s that allowed the school boards to be able to do that has already shown us that this could be effective. So I think this is a smart moving forward, and I'm happy to make that motion.
Thank you. All right, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. I've been sending y'all emails from our folks up in DC that's keeping us aware of a bunch of bills going through at that time of year. So there's some key bills that I asked the county manager to put on the agenda, and I've asked him to bring those up for our discussion. So that's our next item on the agenda.
That is the next item, and it tracks a little bit with the resolution that you all just passed as a general nature. House 306 is in your packet, and that is a bill that was done as a local bill for Watauga County and some others that does just what you just asked for in that resolution. If we could get Dare County added to that bill, then it would proceed with the goal that you did in the resolution that you just passed.
What would be, if we know, the factors that Watauga County and not Dare County is a target of this bill, and what would prevent Watauga County, Dare County, and a host of other counties? I'm trying to figure out the exclusivity of this.
They went to their legislator and he drafted a bill for them and did it. And so
That's about it.
That's about it. And so we would go to ours and say, could you please add us to this bill and see if we could get added to that local bill?
Yeah, because he filed the bill as a local bill and not a
That's right.
statewide bill.
That's right.
And so
that's why it was.
Because it's bad statewide and it's good for Watauga.
No,
Just that Watauga
no.
put the legislation in.
I'm kind of just pulling
Yeah.
your legs, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out if it's good for Watauga, why isn't it good for North Carolina?
Yeah, it's just a logistic thing for the bill.
It's often easier to get a local bill passed because nobody cares what you do in your county if they're from Watauga County than it is to get one done statewide where whatever the interest groups are throughout the state might oppose.
I see.
So that's why it's done as a local
All
bill.
that complicated political stuff.
Yeah.
When we get to the end, unless you
can't
all
help
choose to
myself.
pull them out, what the goal of this is to get your authority to go to the lobbyist and have him lobby on our behalf for these bills. That's the first one. H593, it's entitled Local Government Audits. And the idea that we get audited isn't a big deal because we get audited and we do it on purpose. We want it, we get successful audits, and it helps us and it helps the public know that we're doing things the right way. What this does is it sets up a procedure that may not be the best procedure for us to select our auditor. And it's basically a bid process, not a quality process. And so whoever the lowest bidder is by this statute becomes our auditor if they meet some minimal criteria, and that may not be a criteria in terms of talent and skill that you're satisfied with. And so we've had great success with our auditors. They do a very thorough job. They send a team down here, 4 or 5 people that sit in the conference room upstairs for a week and go through all of our books and records and meet with the staff and all that stuff to audit our books. Some other auditor with a single person may just be that. We have deadlines we have to meet, and so that's an important criteria. Can an audit firm that has one person meet a deadline that takes 5 to do ours to get it done by December? And we have lots of local governments out here because they can't afford their auditors that have audit firms that don't meet their deadlines. Well, they don't meet their deadlines it means we can't do other things. For example, Dave can't go to the local government commission to do a loan to build a youth center or whatever if our audit isn't in on time. They won't review anything until you have your audit in. So if you miss it, you miss those kind of deadlines. If you miss it, I don't know what the criteria is, but there's a point at which if you can't get the audit deadlines in on time, they stop the state funds that come to you and so on. So we need some discretion to pick auditors that can do what we need done, that can do the quality of work that we need to do. And yes, we need to be price conscious, but that should not be the only criteria. So again, we would ask our lobbyists to support the part of the bill that says, yeah, we need to get the audits done and all that stuff, but not support the part of the bill where it's, a bid process rather than an RFQ qualification process.
Let me do this, Bobby. Let's back up. Let's take these one-on-one.
Sure.
Let's go back and I'll get a motion from the board to add DARE to this housing for local employees, if that's the pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Okay. Motion's made by Commissioner Balance. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Now we're looking at H593, and I need a motion to support just what Bobby said, part of the bill, but not support the bidding process, if that's the pleasure of the board.
Do we, when they have that clause that responsible bidder, does that not help us in that process? Or does it make it more complicated?
Well, it makes it uncertain. Dustin can jump in. When we do it, like if we're required to use the lowest responsible bidder when we build a building.
Right. But then you got to prove one's
but
more responsible than the other.
One's more responsible than the other. What does responsible mean?
Right.
And if you're wrong,
right,
and they come after you and they are responsible, then not only do you have to pay the one that you hired to do it, you got to go back and pay them their profits that they lost because they were in fact responsible. So you really get stuck with your lowest bidder because it's subjective about whether they're responsible or not.
And also, Bobby, doesn't our audits, doesn't it, that at some point in time could possibly affect the credit ratings for the county?
It could, yeah.
Could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just,
Yeah, failing audits with qualified opinions, that
Oh,
will
yeah.
have a very bad effect.
Yeah. Yes. Or not having the audit. I mean, the bigger problem is the delay in getting it done.
Right. And I would think if delaying getting it done would also possibly affect that as well, I would think.
On delaying funding for services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make, have you already got a motion?
No, we don't.
I'll make a motion.
All right.
To put our lobbyist on it and just
opposing that part.
Opposing the part of the bid process.
Bid process. Yeah. All right. There's a motion on the floor by the vice chair. Is there a second?
second.
Second by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next is Senate 427, and this is a property tax modification. What this does is, and the part of it that is problematic is I sent it over to Hosey and asked him to take a look at it. He couldn't put a dollar number on it, although he said it would be significant. It takes out personal property valued at $20,000 or less from the taxable valuations for our ad valorem taxes. And so it's kind of an open question. Does that mean if you have a rental house and the cumulative personal property in the house is, $250,000, then if you look at it that way, then that's not a problem for us. But if you're going to look at it piece by piece, then it takes out just about everything in the house because there's very few one pieces of that are worth $20,000. And so it could have an impact on the way that we value and the way that our property taxes work if that bill were to go through. And so the question is, do we support that or do we not support that? And again, it would take, according to Hosey, a significant amount of our personal property levy out of the tax equation.
Yeah, I was reading through it and I got confused real quick on it, of what it covers, what it doesn't cover, and there was I saw a lot of gray areas and loopholes that could arise
I think
from
you're
it.
reading it correctly then.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby, it looks, Senator Hanning's on it. Has anybody talked to him?
Have
I have not.
I have not. I just saw it Friday. So we just saw it this week when the agenda came out. So I haven't talked to anybody. I didn't want to go out on a limb and talk to anybody till I knew what your feeling was.
I can't oppose this one until I know more about it, because I like lower taxes too. But I get what you're saying, the loopholes and all. I mean, obviously at the House or the Senate level, state level, they're going to have deeper discussions and probably put this in more detail. But I'd like to talk to Bobby first before I make a resolution today.
So should I just go back to him and get a?
Yeah, go back and do
Come
that.
back to you.
That'd be
Okay.
fine. You can come back to us.
All right, I'll do that. The next one is Senate 419, which is the same as House 24. You recall a few meetings ago, we talked about a bill that came through that basically said you can't downzone anything no matter what. If you do, then the owner who gets downzoned can come in and object and you can't downzone. And so that makes future planning almost impossible. You can't change anything hardly without changing the zoning. And if you do, then somebody gets downzoned each time. So after a hurricane, for example, and we needed to change zoning for some reason because of something we learned in the hurricane, we couldn't do that under that bill without the consent of that property owner. It makes all non-conforming uses conforming, because if you have something that you did before we changed an ordinance, you get to keep that. But one day when that house burns down or gets blown away or whatever, and you want to rebuild, you have to rebuild it to the current ordinances, not to the ones that were done in 1970 when you built it, which may be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. But this would do away with your ability to fix things like that. And so the question is, do we want them taking that authority away from the local government to be able to plan how you want zoning to look for wherever you are?
I'm not in favor.
I'm not in favor. I say not at all.
Yeah, I would make the motion to.
Well, can I, just one quick question. So like, and I'm gonna throw an example out there and tell me if I'm on the right path or not with this. So let's say the county down the road at some period of time, we expanded services to include wastewater treatment and water to areas that currently don't have it, allowing for more houses to go on smaller acreage of lots like some of the towns do. Then we couldn't go back and zone that just to reflect that smaller parcel change requirement for.
Take it the other way.
Mhm.
So right now we have, if you have 15,000 square foot lots and we thought, hey, we're getting ready to put water in, do we really want that many houses in that neighborhood? And we thought it would be better to have 20,000 square foot lots to have a little bit less density, a little bit more open space. By this, what we're doing is we're opposing that. We're opposing the legislature telling us we couldn't do that. Right. So if you're in favor of restore the downzoning authority, if you vote in favor of that thing, then you're voting for that bill that does away with the legislature that said you can't downzone, because that's in effect now. They already passed that. This is to undo that. Right.
Thank you.
Steve, you gonna make that motion?
Steve?
Yep, I'll make a motion.
All right. There's a motion to oppose.
I'll second.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
I think I'm with you. This says it's an act to restore the authority for local governments, us, to initiate.
Correct. They've taken away that authority by a bill they passed in a big omnibus bill. They say that slipped through the cracks, but.
And we don't want that authority back?
It was part of the hurricane.
No, they took that authority away from us. This is to
Restore.
repeal what they did, to restore the way it was before they acted.
Well, your motion is to oppose that.
I think your motion should be to support
Yeah, support.
Yeah.
Sorry.
S 419 and H 24.
Yeah, maybe I misunderstood. I heard
misunderstood.
opposed. I'm not opposed.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, would you restate the motion then?
Make a motion to support it.
Yeah, I'll second the motion to support House Bill 24.
All right, motion on the floor by the vice chair, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Ross. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Chairman, there's one more bill that's not on your list and you didn't get a copy of it. And we just got it on, where'd Noah go? On Friday. And so Noah was going to go through it and hadn't seen it yet, but I went through it, and it's another bill that's been submitted by the developer in the construction lobby. And what it does several things. One is it says that if we do any zoning changes, then we have to do, our planning staff has to do a fiscal analysis to decide if it has any fiscal impact on anybody in Dare County by virtue of us making that zoning change. I don't know what that does, but on the other hand, I don't think we have staff that's capable of doing that. It increased, right now, if you apply and you get vested rights for your zoning applications approved, you got to start your project within 2 years. This would increase that to 5 years. It has a conflict of interest statement in there that says you have a conflict of interest if there's a number of things that you already have that in your conflict of interest policy, but there's one that they add. It says if you have other associational relationships with the applicant. I have no idea what that means, but that could mean if you know them,
Yeah, really.
if you know them, if you see them, whatever, if you go to church with them, I mean, that could eliminate everybody on the board where we wouldn't have a quorum to even act.
Yeah, that would make it.
That's kind of
What was that
kind
bill
of broad.
number?
That's
House Bill 24.
House 765.
Oh.
Motion to oppose House Bill 765.
Second.
All right, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Ross to oppose. It's been seconded by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion?
Have a copy of that on here, Bobby?
It is not, because we just got it on Friday. I'd be glad to send it to you, but we had just gotten it, and the agenda was already out.
I haven't read, but all right, I'll take your word for it, Bobby. If it's bad, it's bad.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
All right, so we have our marching orders on those, which takes us to item 17, and this is sort of along the same lines, only these are specific to the Register of Deeds, and I think Cheryl's here, so come on up, Cheryl. And again, she's got Senate Bill 248, but there's also Senate Bill 711 that I think they want to talk about as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Morning, afternoon, Cheryl.
I am here asking for support for Senate Bill 248. What this would do is allow us in North Carolina to issue certified birth certificates to people who have been adopted. At this point in time, you have to go through the state. It'll cost you over $50 to get one certificate. If you want another one, it's $15 per certificate, and that could take up to 90 days to get. If this is enacted, they would be able to come to us, get their birth certificate, cost $10, and get it immediately. It takes the state out of it. It takes the long amount of time and large amount of money that they charge. Some people don't know they're adopted. They come in to get a birth certificate for us. We look at them when we can't find it. We ask them, were you adopted? This now goes back to their parents and they ask. Maybe their parents didn't ever want them to know. If we're able to issue that birth certificate, they will never have to know. And it gets that they can get it faster and less money. So I'm asking for your support.
Is that just North Carolina?
Yes.
I mean, I've read it. Do we need for resolution to be read? I mean, I understand it.
I don't think you need it to be read. It's straightforward.
I'll just ask the pleasure of the board.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Creef to approve. Is there a second? Second by Vice Chairman House and Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We got one more.
711. Steve, I think.
Yeah, Senate Bill 711. This is a bill that was just introduced this past week. And what it does is it's asking for the county commissioners to adopt a code of ethics and a removal process for the elected register of deeds. Do you have a question?
What I guess it just occurred to me, you might want to let somebody else present this.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
That's why I was wondering why y'all wanted me to do this.
And
I was like, I don't think
and
this.
so I guess you probably shouldn't participate in the debate.
Exactly.
Or in the
Right.
presentation. either.
Right.
So if you excuse yourself, I'll take it forward.
I will ask myself to be recused from this discussion.
Is there a motion to recuse? There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Burris. Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
I'll be back.
Do y'all need me to speak on it, or do you want to do it, Bob?
You can speak on, or I was going to say, if you have the resolution in front of you, and the resolution sets it out
It does.
pretty clearly what
Yes.
the concerns are. And I think, at least from my perspective, the biggest concern is it takes the election of an elected official and gives the county commissioners the board to remove someone that was duly elected. That doesn't seem to.
It gives room for abuse.
Yeah. Of a political office that's really not that political. So
We have one register of deeds who is not liked at all by one commissioner in her area. This could open her up to being removed. And it's just, we don't feel it's right. This was all brought about because someone is upset with one register of deeds.
Say that again, Cheryl.
This was all brought about because people are upset with one register of deeds in one county. There was some issues that happened, and this all came about because of that.
I'm in opposition to that. I would vote go against it because like now, all of our elections in Dare County are partisan. It used to be, but they are now. And let's say the board was not your party. Say something happened, everybody else got elected that was of a different party than yours, and they could easily get rid of you just because they don't like you.
Right.
Based on
Exactly.
partisanship. I don't agree with that at all.
Right.
And just so, if you look down into your resolution, there's a procedure in place that takes the politics out of removing an elected official, and it takes a Superior Court judge or sheriff. And so there's a whole series of statutes that you can follow to accomplish that goal if you have somebody who's not meeting their
The third
qualifications.
whereas is the real troublesome one for me. Basically says, I allege, Bobby agrees, you're out.
Yes.
That's not right.
No.
Well, the seventh whereas is the procedure as we have now to do it. And so there is a way, if you have a
there is a
wayward
way.
elected official, to get that official removed.
Yeah. Which there have been officials removed. We had, the one many, many years ago that was stealing.
But they had a sheriff removed in a county that's a couple counties down the road. So there's a procedure that happens, and when you have somebody that does the wrong things, it works. And
No need to change it and open it up for abuse.
No.
And that's what this would do. It would open it up for abuse.
It absolutely would. There would
Partisan
be-
politics.
There would be some register of deeds that would
Is the register
possibly
of
be
deeds a
removed.
4-year or 2-year term?
It's a 4-year.
4-year.
Okay, well, I mean, you don't like register of deeds that much in 4 years, vote them out.
Vote them out, yeah.
Why go
Exactly.
through all this?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know, this is really long, but because it wasn't in the board packet, do you want to read this so that the public?
Yeah, go ahead
has all
and
this
read it
detail?
since it wasn't in the packet.
All right. What this says is, whereas the Dare County Board of Commissioners recognizes the importance of ethical governance and accountability for all elected officials and remains committed to ensuring transparency and maintaining the highest standards of public service in Dare County. And whereas North Carolina Senate Bill 711, it's entitled ROD Code of Ethics and Breach Notice Costs, proposes the establishment of a comprehensive county adopted code of ethics for Register of Deeds. and provides a process to remove an elected register of deeds from the office for certain actions found to be in violation of that code. Whereas if a violation of the county's code is alleged against the register of deed, the county manager would be given the broad discretion to determine whether a violation has occurred without clear guidance or evidentiary standards. And if the county manager determines that a violation has indeed occurred, the matter is then referred to the county's Board of Commissioners, which is also given broad discretion to uphold the alleged violation and remove the elected official. Whereas the proposed removal process for elected register of deeds in North Carolina lacks clear standards for review for the county manager to follow and gives no indication of whether there is any limit to the county manager's discretion. Additionally, it fails to specify burdens of proof and does not provide the protections necessary for ensuring due process in removal proceedings. Whereas the will of the voters in electing public officials to serve should be respected, and any process to effectively undo the will of the voters and remove an elected official from office must be taken seriously and only implemented in the rarest of warranted circumstances. And whereas existing North Carolina statutes already provide mechanisms for addressing misconduct by elected officials, including NCGS 14-230, which allows for the removal of an elected official who willfully fails to discharge their duties, as well as judicial removal processes that have been affirmed by the North Carolina Supreme Court. And whereas specific removal procedures are already in place for some elected officials in North Carolina, such as sheriffs, district attorneys, judges, and clerks of Superior Court, none of these procedures include the broad and subjective provisions outlined in North Carolina Senate Bill 711 for Register of Deeds. Whereas North Carolina Senate Bill 711's introduction of a county-adopted code of ethics for Register of Deeds, the violation or alleged violation of which could trigger the initiation of a removal process, creates a standard that is not applied to any other elected office and is therefore unnecessary given that elected Register of Deeds already swear an oath to faithfully perform their duties of their office. And whereas the majority of county managers and county commissioners are alike unfamiliar with the intricacies of Register of Deeds laws, regulations, and operations, without a sufficient knowledge of these laws and regulations, could potentially use the process outlined in Senate Bill 711 to influence decisions that are statutorily entrusted to elected Register of Deeds. And whereas a public official subject to this removal process would face unprecedented and public determination of alleged unethical conduct without clear standards for adjudication, potentially leading to reputational damages regardless of the outcome of the decision. And whereas no guidance is provided regarding how a court is to interpret the Code of Ethics provisions that the county adopts, whether the county elected Register of Deeds can challenge its enforceability, or how courts are to determine if a provision is vague, overbroad, or impractical in application. And whereas if a removal statute for Register of Deeds in North Carolina is deemed necessary, it should be structured in a clean, simple, consistent manner, akin to the removal process for sheriffs in NCGS 128-16, which requires adjudication by a Superior Court judge who is less likely to be influenced by local political considerations than a county manager or a Board of Commissioners. Therefore, be it resolved that the Dare County Board of Commissioners formally oppose North Carolina Senate Bill 711 and urges the North Carolina General Assembly to reject the bill to ensure due process protections for elected Register of Deeds, maintain the integrity of the electoral process, and prevent unnecessary political influence in the duties of the Register of Deeds. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Dare County's representatives in the North Carolina General Assembly, the North Carolina Association of Register of Deeds, the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, and the Governor of North Carolina to express our strong opposition to North Carolina Senate Bill 711, this the 7th day of April 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, it's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Bobby, Board, I'm not sure how much support this has in the legislature, but I think it would be prudent of us to ask our lobbyists to work on this one as well.
I would agree with that if you need a vote.
Okay.
My assumption is by you all approving or not approving, whatever you've done with all this legislation, that we would ask our lobbyists to support
Okay.
your efforts and all those things.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Good deal. Just add this one to the list.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Cheryl.
Have a great day.
Mhm.
All right.
All right, item 18. This is a letter to Congress in support of the Sea Grant program. There's a letter in your packet that has been prepared for the chairman to sign, and it's before you for the permission, if you will, for the chairman to sign that letter. It supports Sea Grant and the funding for Sea Grant. Just from our experience with Sea Grant over the years has been a good organization for local governments and for the county. It is kind of a impartial, practical observer of the environment and helps us understand things. They have been a proponent of beach nourishment and help. You know, they don't say we're for it or against it, but if you're going to do it, here's a way to do it. They give you the science behind lots of the things that you want to do on the coast. Positive or negative, they aren't out lobbying to do it or not do it. They just provide straightforward, practical guidance and have been a big help over time. I don't know how many of you all know Spencer Rogers. For the longest time, Spencer, he's retired now, but he was the Sea Grant person that we were in contact with, and he was always somebody who was a straight shooter, and the science that they did was always straight science. They're doing some things now. They're getting ready to put some video cameras and some things on those houses down in Buxton to try to see if there's something they can do to forewarn or help us make decisions and do things maybe sooner in the process so that we can, one, get them safe, and two, decide which ones need to come off the beach and those kind of things. They've done work with groins and jetties in other parts of the state. He presents at almost every CRC meeting about some topic or another. And again, it's at least from my perspective, it's been a good project and a good thing to have their input on things that we've got to decide that affect the coast. So,
Is their data ever been used against commercial fishing federally or state?
I don't know about commercial fishing directly.
Yeah, they've actually been a big proponent of commercial fishing.
Okay.
Very much so. Sarah Mirabilio has been
for
fantastic in supporting his
efforts. For a short period
efforts.
of time, she was on the Dare County Working Watermen's Commission.
Yep.
Sounds good.
So I would make the motion to approve.
And I'll absolutely second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by the vice chair. It's been seconded by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Item 19 is the Dare County Disaster Debris and Monitoring Contract. And Dustin, while Dustin's coming up, come on up, Dustin. Every so often we renew these so that when hurricane season gets here, God forbid we have to use it. But if we do, we have a pre-positioned contract and we don't have to bid it and take the time that it takes to bid it during that process. Dustin has done that. I'll let you fill in from there, Dustin.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so this is a contract that FEMA requires us to have in place in the event that we want to get reimbursed for a federally declared storm. I usually bid these out once every 5 years. That's kind of what FEMA expects. So a 3-year term with 2 additional 1-year optional periods. Thompson Consulting was the low. We got 4 responses. They've been our consultant and our service provider for the last 10 years. I mean, it's for my time while I've been here. They do an excellent job. They're familiar with Dare County. They're familiar with our staff and then kind of what our expectations are. So in front of you today is their service agreement or their contract. And I'm asking you all to approve Thompson as the provider of choice and authorize the county manager to sign and negotiate a contract.
And they were the low bidder per the FEMA regs.
Yes, sir. That's correct. Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. We get the best and low bidder.
Yep, that's good.
Deal.
Win-win.
Motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by the vice chair to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Creef. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Dustin.
Item 20 on the agenda is the amendment to the capital project ordinance for interest, income, and project savings from Phase 1, the Series 2023A LOBs projects, and Dave's here to present that.
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. If you remember, Phase 1 was Dare Med Flight, Southern Shores, EMS Station, and Killable Hills. And are they finished with the stoplight at Killable Hills?
Yes, sir.
So we're all done. Okay, I might be back one more time with one more little adjustment, but these are very close to final. So we're doing two capital project ordinance to adjust for, we had an additional $14,060 of interest income that over our budget. And then we had, we look like we've got another 52,266 under budget from what we had done previously. And I'll just, mainly my purpose here, not putting it on the consent agenda, was to tell you that we've reduced the next bond issue for phase 3 by $620,000. 270,000 of that's from interest income and 442,000 of that's from projects under budget. So we're taking those funds and using it towards the next one. And your action is to adopt the two capital project ordinance amendments.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion on the floor by the vice chairman. It's been seconded by Commissioner Ross. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Next is your consent agenda. On the consent agenda, you have the approval of the minutes from February 20th and March 3rd. The tax collector's report, you have the advertised for the 2024 tax year liens. You have the jail inmate telephone contract renewal, have shallow draft cost share resolutions for the fiscal year 26 dredging, Outer Banks Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan adoption, the audit contract for the fiscal year to end on June 30th, 2025, update to the county's list of official depositories, C and D landfill budget amendment, a budget amendment for a new emergency management grant, a budget amendment to correct capital investment fund for adopted CIP, and the DHHS public health state funding for public health investment and performance management.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, is a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next, you have your board appointments. The Albemarle Commission Northeastern Workforce Development Board, Commissioner Ross previously resigned from the Northeastern Workforce Board, and the Dare County Board of Commissioners will need to appoint a new commissioner to fill that seat. If you don't have that now, then we'll just be aware that's an appointment that we have.
Okay.
You have appointment for that seat.
I didn't hear anybody shout and raise their hand.
Don't look at me. I need to know more about this.
All right. All right, so you're looking for somebody there, so I'll move to the next one.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
We'll work on it. Next is the Pheasant Center Advisory Board. Ed O'Brien resigned from the Pheasant Center Advisory Board in December. The board recommends Colby Ian O'Neill to be appointed to fill that seat.
I make a nomination for Colby O'Neill.
All right, it's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
And then last is the Mans Harbor Marina Commission. Clyde Gard and Bonnie Sawyer both have terms that expire this month, and they both wish to be reappointed.
Motion to reappoint.
The motion on the floor by the vice chair to reappoint. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
And then your upcoming board and committee appointments are a bunch for the next 3 months. In May, you have the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council with one term expiring, the Veterans Advisory Council with one term expiring, the Working Waterman Commission with 2 terms expiring, and the Zoning Board of Adjustment with 2 terms expiring. In June, you have the College of Albemarle Board of Trustees with 1 term expiring, the Hatteras Community Center Board with 3 terms expiring, the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council with 11 terms expiring, the Land Transfer Tax Appeals Board with 3 terms expiring, the Library Board with 2 terms expiring, the Mans Harbor Community Center Board with 3 terms expiring, the Roanoke Island Community Center Board with 3 terms expiring, the Rodanthe Wave Salvo Community Center Board with 1 term expiring, and the Waterways Commission with 3 terms expiring. And then in July, you have the East Lake Community Center Board with 1 term expiring, the Game and Wildlife Commission with 3 terms expiring, the Parks and Rec Advisory Council with 1 term expiring, and the Wanchese Community Center Board with 5 terms expiring.
I got a question, Bobby. Is Drew's seat on that July deal, or when are we going to do something about that on the Game Wildlife Commission?
Wait, he's resigned, and so he's off.
I know.
I don't know if
We haven't.
I don't know if we've appointed. If we haven't appointed,
We
then
haven't-
that's one of the ones you have left to appoint.
Or in July?
Well, that
Anytime.
said, you can do it anytime you want.
Yeah, I think we need to do it rather than wait until July. I don't know about you guys. What
Would
do
you like to
think?
have Scott put that on the next agenda?
I may.
Yes.
If
I
you
know,
all,
they don't meet again till, I think, August. I
So-
talked,
I
I talked to
I
Buddy.
thought they were coming back to us with a recommendation.
Well, I talked, but they don't meet till August. I talked to Buddy Shelton, who,
Well, they need to call a special meeting.
and that's
when
what
it's a
I
vacant board.
advised him. I advised him to go ahead and get it done
I had
Right.
a good person
and
put
said,
in
you need
too.
to,
so should
Get
I
on
call and
this.
ask them to have a meeting so that we have
Yeah.
a recommended candidate at our May
Yeah,
meeting?
we don't need
We'll follow
a
up with that then.
vacancy all the way to the middle of July.
Okay,
And I can go to that meeting.
all right, okay.
Super. All right.
Quick question on the JCPC, juvenile crime. 11 terms all expired in the month of June?
You've got 36 on that.
Yeah, it's
committee.
30 some on that board.
I'm on
Yeah.
36, huh?
So this, we're only dealing with a third of
Okay.
Juvenile
I
crime.
withdraw my question.
it.
That would be your agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, County Manager. That brings us to item 23, Commissioner's business, County Manager's business, and I'm sure the County Manager has several items.
Yes, sir. One is, I don't know how many months ago it is, we set aside $2 million for maintenance and repairs last year for various facilities. And we've come to the end of that, and we have some money left over from those repairs. But we have a couple of things we'd like to do. And because these weren't on the list that you approved, I need to get your approval to do it. One is the Parks and Rec cleaning and painting of the gym. We had talked about that a little bit in the workshop on Friday. That's $54,951. We have the funding to do that right now out of those $2 million fund, and with your approval, we'll do that. The other was the demo of the probation and parole office, which is the $39,400. I know that there's been some discussion about a group that might want to use that. If you approve this, I'll have that discussion. If they want to move forward, then we'll hold off and see what they want to do. If they don't want it, then we'll go ahead and get the demolition going if you all approve that. And then the third thing is, with the funds that are left over, there's about $240,000 minus what we just spent. What we would like you to do is authorize us to use the remaining funds in there to do various other small projects on maintenance and repairs as they come along, because that's what that money was designated for. And as Dave Stupka has come on, we've found various things like these that need to be done. I don't know if you want me to come back every time or just go ahead and do those out of that fund.
Let me ask you this, specific to what? To specific to parks, to specific to issues with our buildings, to specifics to issues with?
Maintenance to our facilities on a priority list that's determined by the facilities maintenance director is what I tell you.
Okay, that defines it a little bit more.
Yeah. And so if you approve, so you would, if you do it, I'm asking you to approve those two sums. So let me use that, and then let me use the remaining money in that account to do maintenance projects at a priority set by the facilities maintenance director.
Gotcha. Any questions of the county manager with respects to that?
Would this alleviate any of our budgetary concerns for next year's fiscal budget, or? Because it's only about
It might-
150 left after those two.
It might have a small impact in the CIP, but not much.
Not much, okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion on.
Makes sense.
On the floor by Commissioner Balance to approve. Is there a second? Second, Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
I've just got two informational things. One is if you drove over from the beach this morning, you saw that big pipe was gone.
Yeah, I saw that.
So over the weekend, they did.
They left a
It's a
little,
little pipe.
they left a little pipe.
Right.
It shrunk.
But
They shrunk it.
the good news is they've got it all mostly done. The bad news is it got hung up in the last 200 yards or so of the pipe, and they've got to do some work where it got snagged on whatever it got snagged. That'll take a week or more to do. So we were hoping to finish the whole project by the end of this week, and it looks like it's going to be another
They ain't got the back pipe out, do they?
couple of weeks. I'm sorry.
They don't have to back that thing out, do they?
I don't think so. No, they
Good.
got to go in and
Now, for those
unsnag
200
it.
yards, I'll go down there with a shovel.
So they don't think there's going to be any trouble meeting the schedule to get it done before Memorial Day, but it isn't going to be done this week as we had hoped. So just to keep you updated on. But good news is most of it's in the ground. The second thing is, knock on wood, we've got a new finance director in place. He accepted his position on Friday. He's been house hunting. They've been here. They've met with us. They've met with Dave.
Finally.
They've got a house rented.
Finally.
So we're on go after a long search there. He'll start at the end of May. So in the June meeting, I'll bring him in and let you all meet him formally. He may come in before then. I don't know if he'll be in and out before then or not, but if he is and you're around, I'm glad to introduce you then. Again, I'll tell you a little bit about him. And this is a little bit of about a 5-page long resume of things that he has done. He's a CPA and he started his career at PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is one of the largest accounting firms in the country. And so that you're going to see some familiarity here when you hear, as we talk about him and you look over there across the way and follow his career. They sort of followed the same track at some level. They both started in the big 5 companies, accounting firms, and moved in ultimately to local government. He had been the associate controller at a university system, Clark University. He moved up to the chief financial officer of an outfit called the Harold Greenspan Foundation. And then he moved up to Williams College, where he is the associate vice president of finance. William College is a private school up in Massachusetts. It's got about a $350 million budget, so its budget's larger than our budget. It's got a $4.2 billion with a B dollar endowment that he manages as well. He has over 2,000 endowed funds that he.
How large is our endowment, Bobby?
Yeah, right. He does all the financial modeling. He does all the tax exempt financing. He does all the reporting. He does all the risk management. He has the IT under him. If you took what Dave does every day and made a list, it's what he does at the level that I just described. So he fits very well with what we're doing. I was impressed with him. Dave was impressed with him. Our hiring team was impressed with him. He came and visited. We took him, showed him around, went and had breakfast with him one morning and talked. I think he's going to be a really good fit. I think he's going to be really good. He's going to be here a little while for Dave to sort of put the North Carolina flavor on these things. Most of what they all do in the accounting world, they all speak accounting language and they all have accounting rules and they're all the same wherever they are. And
Sort of like you.
as Commissioner Ross has found, that language isn't necessarily the language that we speak, but they do. And so what he knows all the things that he needs to do here, and there's not going to be any surprises. What will be different is there's some things with the local government commission and some North Carolina things that he has to do. There's some reporting deadlines that we have to do that he may not be familiar with and all that. And Dave can bring him up to speed in that month or so while he's here. And we always have Sally who knows all that stuff too. And so I think the transition should be smooth, and I'm looking forward to getting him here and looking forward for you all to meet him. And I'm really excited that we've got a very qualified finance director coming on board. So not so excited about Dave leaving, but if he's got to leave, then I think we'll be in good shape. So just to give you that update and let you know that's what's happening. And then the last thing that I have is at the appropriate time, I need a closed session. And I'll give you the language for that motion when you're ready.
All right. Thank you, County Manager. That brings us to Commissioner's business. I will ask the Vice Chairman if he'll kick it off today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. April 16th, very important day. That is the day that Wilbur Wright was born. And the First Flight Society will be having a birthday celebration for him at the Hilton Garden Inn for a luncheon from 11 to 2. And all of our officials here are invited to attend. It is a fundraiser for the First Flight Society, so it is a $50 fee for the luncheon. And also that invitation is also extended to any and all residents of Dare County, and you can sign up at the First Flight Society's website or with the Chamber of Commerce website. And this past a little bit over a week ago, Commissioner Balance and myself went down to Moorhead and Atlantic Beach area and spoke with a lot of our commercial fishermen down there and kind of filled them in on things that were happening up here. And we got some insight on what was happening with them as well. Also in attendance there was Senator Norm Sanderson, which we got to touch base with him again on various things. And also Senator Mark Brinson, who is new to the North Carolina Senate. We were able to bend his ear and fill him in on what was going on in our fisheries and looking for good things. Also, there were several other county commissioners from a couple other counties that were down there and got them kind of going as well in the direction that we're going in here, and hopefully that'll bring a little bit more awareness to the commercial fishing industry in the central and actually southern part of the state as well. And now for a favorite part of any commissioners meeting, the pet of the week.
Our pet of the week this week is Ivory. Ivory is a charming and affectionate cat who truly thrives on love and attention. With a playful spirit, Ivory enjoys climbing to the top of her treehouse where she can look over everything from above. She adores being petted and will happily curl up next to you for some quality time.
Pretty cat.
To adopt Ivory or foster one of our other animals, come visit us Monday through Friday at our shelter located in Manio. For more information, visit our website at obxspca.org or visit our OBXSPCA Facebook page.
So definitely take a trip down to SPCA, take a look at Ivory and any other cats and dogs that they have down there, and give someone else their forever home. And thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Appreciate it. Commissioner Creef.
Yeah, one thing coming up, we got turkey season coming into Eastern North Carolina this upcoming Saturday. So I am an avid outdoorsman myself. So one thing I could say is everybody stay safe out there. Turkey hunting actually results in more accidents than any other type of hunting in North Carolina. So certainly on public land, be careful and always make sure you have your firearms pointed in a safe direction. Another thing is we've got our spring cobia season coming up for our commercial and recreational. That's a big deal, and it helps out our tackle stores. It's one of the few things that marine fisheries hasn't taken away yet. So hopefully y'all can go enjoy that. And glad the water line almost got done. But anyway, I didn't see it this morning when I looked over there. And other than that, I'd just like to thank everybody again for their incredible hard work, all our department heads, obviously Bobby and Dave for working us through that budget, and obviously all my fellow commissioners for working hard on that. I know me and Bob emailed back and forth. It's been one of the things I've been prevalent about the entire time, and it turned out really good. And I'm really proud of that and proud of all y'all's hard work. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner. Carson, is there a limit on turkeys?
Yeah,
two. To what?
You got 2 tags for
2 turkeys.
Oh, for the season.
Yeah.
I got you. Thank you.
But if you go to Food Line, get as many as you want.
Well, you got a good point there. I love it.
Just don't take your firearm and start shooting them. They kind of frown on that.
I love it. Oh, man. Commissioner Burris.
I'll be brief. I don't really have a whole lot that you guys haven't already touched on. I know we had the first Friday, this last Friday, Dare County Arts Council, downtown Manio. It was a good time. A lot of people down there already, even though it's just April. Seeing a lot of traffic out and a lot of folks already visiting. So that's great to see. Also 50 years Dare County Arts Council, 50 for 50. So you can go online and donate there. Other than that, I don't have much to say this month. Not much to look forward to. I need some invitations. So if you're out there and you have something going on, let me know. And I challenge everybody at the Kids Fest. I will do the dunk tank if the rest of you will sign up to do it too.
If I'm available that date, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Huh?
Friday morning.
I know, but what's the date again?
Oh, May 9th, I'll be in Budapest.
If I'm in town, I'm happy.
Yeah, I'll be happy to go out there and see if anybody has the accuracy to get me dunked.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Balance.
I'll be fairly brief too. I wanted to, for those of you that tuned into the last Board of Ed meeting, Steve Blackstock put in for his retirement. He's going to be sorely missed. He's been a huge asset. He stepped in as our interim superintendent and has done a fabulous job for Dare County Schools, and he will be very missed. Wishing him all the best. For those of you that don't know, we do have shooting teams in all three areas, and they did their competition, and the senior team from Hatteras, just a big shout out to them, placed second at the district, qualified for states. They were second in archery and first in hunting skills. So we're very excited. My son participated on that team, so I still follow them. They're great group of kids. And I'll be David Twitty and I will be attending the State of the Child in Raleigh in a couple weeks. Actually, it's next week. Looking forward to seeing what they do at the state level for that with the Children and Youth Partnership. And again, I'll do the plug on the Kids Fest. If I could jump into freezing cold water, I guess I could sit on a dunk booth.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ross?
Well, good morning. Yes, or good afternoon by now. Couple items. On March 22nd, OBX Hospital ECU Health had a fantastic fundraiser gala event that was held at Duck Woods. I thought it was terrific, a great fundraiser, benefiting, again, cancer patients here in Dare County. And there will be another one in the fall called Cancer Shucks. I would encourage everybody to keep your eyes open for that one. That's also a very good event and very worthwhile for our local community in assisting those suffering and dealing with cancer. Craig Honeycutt spoke on behalf of Jockey's Ridge briefly at public comment. I would just reiterate, first week of June, the big 50th anniversary of Jockey's Ridge State Park. Again, recognizing, honoring Carolista Baum, the lady that courageously stopped the bulldozers back then and helped lead the creation of that state park. So mark your calendars. It's going to be a big event, big time. And my last point, Sheila is no longer here with us at this moment, but I spoke to her briefly at a break. I am looking forward to hearing more next month on the community health needs assessment results. And unfortunately, the number, I did see some information on it. The number one item listed was mental health disorders. And we heard from Trillium, where, again, Wally Overman and I sit on the board, and the incredible number of 57,000 mental health disorders. And guys, I don't have an answer. I'm just sitting here just so disturbed and distraught over this proliferation and almost epidemic level mental health disorder thing that doesn't seem to have any end or bottom to it. So I will be very alert and paying attention next month when Sheila and her team present those findings. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I've got one more thing, and I know y'all have gotten the email, and y'all help me pronounce this. They want a proclamation, World FALUN DAFA Day. Y'all have seen the emails, and I've gotten responses back from several of you, and I just want to know if and this is May, if y'all want me to pursue this, just let me know at the May meeting if I need to put this on the agenda.
You bet.
Because, you know, it's, well, I'll just yield to y'all to, I know several of you have responded, some of you haven't, but please take the time to read it. It's, I need your input to see if I want to put it on the agenda. With that being said, our public information officer, Ms. Hester, do you have anything for us today?
No, sir. You come up with the list where you duct tape.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey,
I'll be in the mood.
We could have people mad about the reevaluation, charge them $1 to throw at us.
Hey,
We'd raise all kinds of money.
there you go. Well, perfect example today. The gentleman from Collington Harbor, in all due respect, once it was explained to him, he had no problem. And that's why I said in my opening remarks, please do your homework, public. You really need to do your homework on your town's tax rate. You're already aware what the county's going to do with their tax rate. We're going to recommend revenue neutral. So I encourage you to do your homework. With that being said, County Finance Director, Mr. Clausen, do you have anything else to add today?
Hey, Bob.
Yes, ma'am.
I talked to Dorothy about that at the break, and she said everything's on the website too, right? All those.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of information on our website. You know,
Not right now.
you just need to.
The only thing is people don't look at the county website. They just read the comments on Facebook and blow up.
Right. Well, they follow social media, which is, I won't even go there.
Coastland Times are going to present an article based on fact, only fact, nothing but the fact.
Right.
That'll clear all this up for the populace of Dare County.
That's right.
God bless them.
All right, County Manager, will you,
Yes, sir. I need a closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A3 to consult with an attorney employee retained by the county in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege and with regard to the opioid litigation and to approve the minutes of the last closed session.
Motion to go into closed session.
there's a motion by the Vice Chair to go into closed session. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Burris. Any further comments? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. I'm going to call the Dare County Board of Commissioners back to order and turn it over to the county manager.
In the closed session, the board approved the minutes of the last closed session. And Mr. Chairman, I'm going to need a motion to authorize me to withdraw the county from the MLAs and the amendment to the opioid lawsuit for those MLAs as requested by National Council.
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair. Is there a second? Yes, second by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
That's all I have.
Thank you, County Manager. That brings us to our next meeting is scheduled for May the 5th. I need a motion to adjourn until May the 5th.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair, seconded by Commissioner Creef. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.